Hello again and welcome to my channel. This tutorial is for the Sunburst Mandala blanket. It's a totally new one. I'm working with double knit yarn and a 5mm hook. The one that I've got here that I've done as the sample, I've just used yarn that was left over from previous projects, but for the tutorial I'm using a variegated yarn. The colour's called Valkyrie and it's one of the mandala cakes. I'm going to start with a slip knot onto the hook and we'll start the first row. So we're going to start by working 4 chain and we're going to join with a slip stitch into that first chain. Just pull the loop through and that forms the circle that we're going to work into. We're now going to work 12 double crochets into this ring, and the terms that I use are US terms. So the first stitch I'm going to work 3 chain and that will count as the first double. We're then going to work another 11 doubles into this circle so that we've got 12 stitches altogether. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the last one is 12. I'm just going to pull the tail of the yarn tight so that it closes up the center a little bit, and then we're going to join to the first stitch into the top of the 3 chain with a slip stitch to join. I'm going to fasten off the yarn and pull that tail through. So we've got 12 doubles. We're going to work into these 12 doubles, into each one. I'm going to start with a new colour. I'll go on to a green shade. Just zoom in slightly. And again I'm going to start with a slip knot onto the hook. I'm going to start with a standing double, and you can do that into any of the stitches that we've got here. So there we've got the first standing double, and then I'm going to chain 1 and then do another double into the next stitch, chain 1 and a double into the next stitch. I'm going to do this all the way around this row. It's a double into each stitch with a chain 1 in between, so at the end of the round we'll have 12 doubles and 12 one chain spaces. So if you want to pause the video and work your doubles with a chain in between each one all the way around, and I'll see you when we get to the end. Once you've worked all the way around, we do the final chain 1 and we're going to join into the top of that first standing double that we started with there. I'm going to snip off the yarn, pull that loop through to fasten off. So if you want to just keep a check of the stitch count here, we've got 12 doubles each with a chain in between. So I'm going to swap colours again, and for this next round we're going to work popcorn stitches, and we're working into the chain spaces here between the two doubles. So to do a popcorn, we're going to work 4 double crochets. The first one is a standing double, 2, 3 and 4, and then we take out the hook from the loop, go into the top of the first stitch, pick up that loop, pull tight and do a chain 1 to fasten off the popcorn. We're then going to work a chain 1 that's going to sit between this one and the next popcorn. So we do the same again into the next chain space, working another 4 double crochet popcorn. 2, 3 and 4. Take out the hook from the loop into the top of the first stitch, pick up that loop, pull through, pull tight and fasten off with a chain 1, and then we're going to do the other chain 1 after the popcorn, then straight into the next chain space and work the next popcorn. And this row's going to be the same all the way around, working a popcorn into each of the chain spaces, fastening off the popcorn with a chain 1, and then work a chain. So again, if you want to pause the video at this point and work your popcorns all the way around, there's 3 and the last double of the popcorn, pull tight, chain 1 and a chain. So I'll let you pause the video here and work all the way around. We're going to do the final chain and then join into the top of that first popcorn with a slip stitch, and then we can fasten off. So we're ready to start row 4. For row 4, again, I've changed colour. I am going to control the colour a little bit for the first few rows before I let the ball of yarn change colour naturally, just so that we've got a defined colour on each different row to start off with. So on this next row, we're going to work 3 double crochet clusters, and also we're working a front post double around the popcorns. So in any of the chain spaces between the 2 popcorns, we're going to start with a 3 double crochet cluster. So we put the yarn over the hook into the space, pick up a loop, yarn over, but we've only pulled through 2 of the loops. We're going to go into the stitch again, pick up a loop, yarn through 2, and then a 3rd time. We've now got 4 loops on the hook, going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and then follow that with a chain 1. We're then going to work a front post double, which is yarn over, behind the popcorn, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, and yarn over through 2. So we've got a cluster in this chain, and we've got a front post double around the popcorn. We're going to chain 1, and then again we're going to work 3 double crochet cluster into that next space. Chain 1, and then the front post double around the popcorn. Chain 1, back onto the 3 double crochet cluster in the chain space, chain 1, and the front post double around the popcorn, chain 1. So again, rather than watching me work the whole of the round, I can suggest that you pause the video and work your row all the way around. Don't forget the chain 1 in between the popcorn and the front post double, and then there's a chain between that front post double and the next cluster. So at the end of this round you will have 12 clusters and 12 front post doubles, and I'll meet you when we get to the end. We've now completed row 4. Got 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'm going to join in the yellow for the next row. We're going to start in the front, in any of the front post doubles, and we're going to work 2 doubles into that front post stitch. So I'll work a standing double as the first stitch and a second one into that same space. We now do a double into the chain space. We're going to work a front post double around the cluster, a double into the chain space, and that brings us to the next front post double, where we're going to repeat that same pattern of 2 doubles into the front post stitch, a double into the chain space, a front post double around the cluster there, a double into the chain space, and we're back again to the next front post double. So that's the pattern repeat here, where we've got 2 doubles into the front post double, 1 double into the chain space, a front post double around the cluster, a double into the chain space, and we're back to the next front post double here, and we do the 2 doubles into there, 1 double into the chain space, 1 front post double around the cluster, a double into the next chain space, and that brings us again to the start of the pattern repeat. So if you want to pause the video and work all the way around, when you get to the other side, don't forget that last double in the chain space, and if you want to do a quick stitch count, you should have 60 stitches. If for any reason you've not got the 60 stitches, if you just go back and check that you've done the 2 doubles in the front post doubles, and also not forgotten to do the double in between the front post around the cluster and the next stitch. So we're now on to round 6, and we're going to start in any stitch with a standing double crochet. We're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch and work a double into the next one, chain 1, skip a stitch, work a double into the next, chain 1, skip a stitch and work a double into the next. And we're just going to again do this all the way around the row. So we're working a double followed by a chain 1, we're going to skip the next stitch and then just repeat all the way around, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 and double crochet, and carry on all the way around until you get to this stitch here. Don't forget that final chain 1 before you join into the top of the first stitch there. As we come round to the end, don't forget that final chain there and join into the top. So on this row, at the end of the row, you will have 30 double crochets and 30 chain spaces in between each one. The next row is a nice easy one. We're going to join again with a slip knot onto the hook, start in any chain space, and we're going to work a half double. So yarn over into the space, pick up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. We're going to then work a half double into the double and a half double into the next space, a half double into the double and a half double into the chain space, and it's just exactly the same all the way around. So we're in effect putting a half double into every stitch, 1 into the double, 1 into the chain space. So again, at the end of this row you will have 60 stitches altogether. And again, rather than just watching me work my half doubles all the way around, if you want to pause the video at this point and work the half doubles all the way around, you might just want to check that you've got 60 altogether at the end. When you come to the last stitch, just join into that first half double with a slip stitch, and then you can snip off the yarn and fasten off. And now on to row 8. Again, I'm going to just slip stitch onto the hook, and we're going to do 2 half doubles in every stitch. So just yarn over into any of the stitches, yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 together, and then another half double into that same stitch. We just do 2 half doubles into every stitch all the way around. At the end of this round you'll have 120 stitches. So it's another nice and simple round, just working those 2 half doubles into every stitch all the way around. And then when you get to the end again of this row, you'll just slip stitch into the top of this first stitch, and then you can snip off the yarn and pull it through. So I'll let you pause the video until you've worked your 2 half doubles into each stitch. The next row is row number 9, and again, as always, we're going to join with a slip stitch onto the hook, a slip knot, and again you can start in any stitch at all, anywhere on your circle. We're going to now work a back post double around each stitch. So the back post double is yarn over, come from behind the stitch in front of the stitch to pick up a loop from the back, yarn over through 2 and yarn over through 2, and we just do exactly the same back post double around the next stitch, and then just carry on all the way around this row, working a back post double around every stitch. So because we're just working around the stitches, 1 stitch around each stitch, we'll still have the 120 stitches at the end of the row. So again, if you want to pause the video and work your back post doubles all around, and then I'll meet you when we get to the end. Again, as we've done before, we're going to join into that first stitch with a slip stitch, pull the loop through and fasten off the yarn. And now we're going to start on row 10. Again, I'm going to join with a slip knot onto the hook. We're actually working trebles this time, so if you would prefer, you could join with a slip stitch to any of the stitches and work 3 chain to start a treble 3 together. But for this one, I'm going to work a standing treble, so I'm going to yarn around twice into the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2 once, yarn over through 2 twice. That leaves 2 loops on the hook, yarn over twice into the next stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2 once, yarn over through 2 twice, yarn over twice into the next stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2 once, through twice. That leaves 4 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all of them together. And then we're going to work a chain to fasten off the 3 together, because we've worked it over 3 stitches. I'm now going to work 2 chain, and then we're going to work the next treble 3 together over the next 3 stitches. So yarn over twice into the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over 2, yarn over 2, that leaves 2 on the hook, yarn over twice into the next stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and then again yarn over twice into the third stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We've got 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4, chain 1 to fasten off the 3 together, and then work 2 chain. We're just going to work this all the way around this row, and each of these treble 3 togethers will be worked over 3 stitches. So there's the first one, the second one, and the third one. 4 loops on the hook, yarn through all 4, chain 1 to fasten off that 3 together, and chain 2. I'll just show you that one again. There's 1 and 2, and the third one, yarn over through all 4, chain 1 to fasten off the treble 3 together, and then we do 2 chain before we start the next one. And again, you can pause the video and work all the way around until we get to this last stitch here. You'll do the final 2 chain and then join into that first stitch, but I'll meet you at the end and just show you how to fasten off this row. I've worked all the way around, just done the last 2 chains there, so I've got a final treble 3 together. There's 1, 2 and 3, chain 1 to fasten off, and then we need those last 2 chains. We're going to join into the top of that first treble 3 together, snip off the yarn, pull through and fasten off. So that completes part 1 of the blanket. As we go to part 2, we'll start to square off, so that we're going to end up with a square blanket at the very you know, the final blanket will be a square. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you'll come and join us for part 2. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe and like the video. See you again soon. Bye.